25 days until the Premier League begins. So the first game is happening August 21st. It's going to be right around the corner very soon. And everyone, this is a list of most World Cup minutes by league. So the Premier League players played the most minutes during the World Cup with 42,301. La Liga was almost 22,000 minutes less than them. Their players played 20,327 minutes. Then you can see their Bundesliga, Serie A and Ligue 1 were around 18,000 to 15,000, so significantly less. But then you do have to think the Premier League had the most players from a certain league playing in the World Cup.
Where does MLS rank on this? I'm very curious about this.
It's got to be somewhere close. Right?
I think it was around 6th or 7th.
Wow.
Yeah, they're right in there.
Yeah, right in there.
No surprise, the Premier League, right?
No, and
that's crazy, but double tone? More than double.
No, it's not. Yeah, but look at their rosters. They're the deepest teams, and they got an international player sitting on the bench at their club teams, right? So I'm not surprised by that number at all.
Well, it's not just about the money that they have, is that the money goes from teams 1 to 20, whereas in most leagues, the money is only concentrated in the top 6, if there is at all. La Liga, honestly, from 5 on down, they're spending basically on the level of MLS clubs right now in the transfer market. So it's not exactly a financially rich league in other areas. So yeah, it's just the depth. You have teams, as you say, I mean, Crystal Palace had as many players featuring in World Cup teams as anybody else in major European football. So it's crazy the depth that there is in the league.
Yeah, MLS would have been 6th on that list, by the way.
6th?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
How do you think the World Cup's going to impact players this season, Nico?
I think players are just going to keep on getting more tired. Did you guys keep a specific eye on Nuno Mendes in Portugal? He looked like he just needed a month-long vacation, and he's probably not going to get it. You know, it feels like they're getting put through the ringer, these guys, and they don't have ample enough time for recovery. And, you know, UEFA wants to have as many games in all of their competitions, and FIFA wants even more games. At one point, the players need to say, enough, we need time for ourselves to recover, to give you guys the best product. I think there is a lot of fatigue. I think there were a lot of players at this World Cup. Declan Rice looked fatigued. A lot of players in Argentina looked fatigued. And that's how the World Cup is going to affect, at the end of the day. Players are just not going to be 100% fit.
Yeah, it's impossible. Declan Rice was the one that stuck out to me in the competition, right? He just, I don't know, he didn't look the same player. He didn't look like he had the legs, the explosiveness, and he's not a guy that's going to run by you, but he just seemed to lag a little bit, especially towards the end. But the guy gave the effort like he always does, right? It's not a matter of effort. Yeah. It's a matter of, hey, I'll do it, but can I do it as fast as I normally do it, you know, week in and week out? And it didn't look that way. But yeah, these guys are going to be exhausted.
And I think you see as well, you'll probably see this most affect the early part of the club season. You think about a player like William Saliba, who picked up an injury, and it's always revealed they were carrying something into the World Cup, but everything is about pushing yourself to the limit at the World Cup. And I know that there sort of is this dynamic between club and country where, you know, the clubs say, well, we pay the salaries, we should get the best of the player. But realistically, players are saving themselves for the World Cup. The World Cup is the most important thing on the footballing calendar. And so I think we'll see that impact most in the early part of the season. What is kind of fascinating is that finally, for me, we've been in a sprint since the COVID pandemic of 2020. There's been this condensed schedule because you missed 3 months of football, and then it's had this domino effect that will finally end in the summer of 2027 when a lot of countries will finally not have a major international tournament in the summer. You have the Gold Cup in CONCACAF. Is there an Africa Cup of Nations in 2027 in the summer? But I mean, for the most part, we won't have a Euros, we won't have a Copa America, and these players will finally have off. This is the finish line for a lot of players to finally have 6 to 8 weeks off.
Yeah, it shouldn't be like that. Think about just let's even shorten it. PSG, right? A lot of these PSG players go back to the start of their first Champions League season, all right? You play an entire season, you win Champions League straight into Club World Cup, you make the final, you don't have a preseason, you have maybe a week and a half of vacation because then you have UEFA Super Cup right after that, and then start the entire season. Yes, they rotated a lot, but you're training, you are playing games, and then you get all the way to the Champions League final, straight into the World Cup. Like, those players, there needs to be someone needs to consider these guys just need some time to themselves. They need to recover. They need to eat well. They need to rest, because we can't put them through 6 years straight of pure football. It's going to break them at one point.
How will that cycle be broken then? Is it going to be players coming out? And,
Yes, and managers.
Really? Do you think we will?
I mean,
see
we've heard them, right? It's done nothing so far because UEFA doesn't care about FIFA. FIFA doesn't care about UEFA, right? They've got their own interest, right? FIFA's got to put a World Cup on for 6 weeks, and who knows where it's going after this. You're going to have more players eventually playing in the World Cup, so more players are going to be affected by this. UEFA has got their own interest, right? They've got to get their league started. They got Champions League. And I think that's what you see with some of these tired players. And I just think, even with Nico's example, I just think the World Cup takes it to another level for those international players, because there is so much effort put into trying to win something for your country.
Hunger for glory.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible what we have put these players through. But again, the argument's going to be in the end from ownership and from UEFA and FIFA. Okay, we'll take games away. What does that mean? We've got to take money away. Right?
That's the conundrum, right?
Yeah.
Am I willing to take less money for my own health, right?
Yeah, and is there a problem of collective action? Ultimately, these things are always done through collective bargaining and through players exercising their power. If the players say, you know, I'll do a contract, I'll take less money, but I play X number of games, that can happen. But who's incentivized in the current moment to take less money? It's not the clubs, some of which are going for valuations that are billions beyond what I've ever previously done. It's not the players, who are making way more money than they've ever made. It's not the agents. Who is the person? Who is the entity? Even the governing bodies make the money, because FIFA and UEFA make the money.
Cycle.
Right. So who is going to be the person that says, I will take less?
The players.
I will go on strike. Because we're talking about elite players. We're talking about elite players. But what about players that play in the championship that need their weekly wage to survive?
But
so
you need from the top down for them to set the example, because, Chris, it is too much. And that vicious cycle that they get caught into, then at the end of the day, if they're going to be tired, they're going to get a worse product. You know, you're going to ring them for every last drop of juice that they have, and then you come to match day 38 and they can't run anymore, or they're giving everything and they're getting injured more. There needs to be this voice in unison from the players to say, all right, enough is enough. We need to find a happy medium where, okay, maybe we get paid less, maybe we get paid the same, but we have to play more game to preserve our bodies, because we are the product. And it feels that the players, I don't know if they understand how much power they truly have to really hit the emergency brake on this and just have the football world in general, UEFA, FIFA, reconsider that they're running them into the ground.
I think reconsidering means changing little things, little by little, right? There's not going to be any big turnover in the schedule. And I guess it was Rodri, right, last year that came out, and he was the most vocal and said, until us players say no,
right,
enough is enough, right? That's the only way this is going to happen. And I just don't see it, because in the end, we all know what drives all of this for everybody, right, is money, right? The more money they see on the table, the more we continue to have this. I don't think you can add any more games, right? Like, there's nothing else to put in the calendar anymore. Like, we have filled the calendar to 100%, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, there's only really this summer, as I mentioned, that is empty, that you could add something. But the Club World Cup,
tell anybody.
Right? Exactly. I mean, the Club World Cup now being a regular part of the schedule in 2029 and in 2033, and we presume for the 4 years. They've talked about playing that tournament every 2 years.
FIFA will want to make the Conference World Cup. Just don't give them any ideas, bro.
The Conference World Cup actually would kind of be fun.
Yeah, there you go. You know what I've heard also? People I've had this conversation with a lot of people, and they've said bigger squads, but then it feels like that just caters to teams with bigger pockets, deeper pockets that can have.
And ultimately,
bigger
we're
squads.
talking about the elite players that decide games, the elite players that we pay tickets to go watch. If a club like Manchester City had a deeper squad, it would be more players who could play minutes, but they're not special. They're not the great players. What ultimately we're talking about is preserving the really 10 to 20, but in the grand scheme, 100 to 120 players that make the difference week in, week out, that are undroppable from their national team, that are undroppable from their clubs, but are being run into the ground. But because there are some players that don't even play international football, that play in the Premier League every week, and yet they're not being put to the brink. We're talking about the elite of the elite who are in every single Euros, World Cup, Premier League, Champions League. These are the players that we pay the money to go and see, and their probably career lifespans are going to be shortened as a result.
Yeah. Do you think it'll go as far as we'll see like the lower league clubs in the Premier League, like the Bournemouths, like the Sunderlands, be able to compete against the top clubs more regularly?
No.
No,
No,
I think they'll catch up. Not as to the extent, but we'll see.
It's just such a massive financial advantage, and it only multiplies every year, right? And look, there are Premier League clubs, and you mentioned Sunderland and Bournemouth. They're both in the Europa League this year, so at the very least bringing in some European income. But Manchester City, Chelsea, Manchester United, Liverpool, they have such an advantage over everyone else, and it grows every year as they make more money than everybody else every year. Ultimately, the elite class of European football is calcified. We know who they are, and very little is going to be done to actually change it. It's only really if they are wasteful with their spending that allows other clubs to take advantage and take steps forward.
And that's why at the end of the day, all of these conversations about Super League and them taking ownership over what they play, how much they play, it feels like these are conversations that are being had. I don't know. I don't have any information about this, but it feels like it would be a natural next step from the clubs themselves to protect their players, to protect their assets, right? Where they play, how they play. They would be having these sorts of conversations to just try to think, all right, how do we take this to the next level without ruining what we have?
Yeah. Well, it'll be very interesting to see this upcoming season. Everyone, the Premier League is just 25 days away.
Thanks for watching this video from Morning Footy. For all news and insights regarding leagues around the world like EFL, Serie A, and all UEFA competitions, both men's and women's, don't forget to sign up for Paramount Plus.